All right.
I had just got in the rhythm, man. I have just got my rhythm on. Oh Lord, we only got one person in here. It says. Well, I guess that would be Mr. Brad Ham. Oh, wait a minute. Now it says two. Okay, maybe we just need to give it a minute. Oh, there went 14. All right. Let me say, if ain't but one person in here tonight, man, he's going to get all his questions answered.
I'm. Mm-hmm.
Well, hello, everybody. While we waiting on everything to catch up, because I'm guessing we're going to have more than 14 people in here tonight. It's it's taking it a minute. It's taking it a minute to build up. I don't know what Steve has done. He may have broke something. But hopefully we'll have enough people here to have a good time with it anyway. As long as we got a few.
I think. I think in our attempts to fix things, it may have gotten worse.
I'm kind of curious there what we got going on because 24 people. Let me see. Let me see if am I even live on my channel. Let me make sure we didn't mess me up.
Yeah.
No, it's showing I'm live. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? It's at 30. Maybe it's just being slow tonight. Or maybe nobody's coming. Maybe it's just going to be a slow night tonight. I'm not sure what's going on, to be honest with you.
Well,
It looks like a bunch of them's probably still over. Looks like Laser Maker's Realm has decided to go live tonight, as well as Light Source. Looks like, yeah. Maybe a bunch of them over there. Who knows? I have no idea. But regardless, we're here. It is 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, and we're live. So, now they're complaining I'm too loud. I'm going to turn mine down one because I did crank it up to 5. We're trying to fix this audio problem for you guys. So, yeah, they're slowly coming in. I think there was possibly a few of them hanging out over with Patrick. I don't know who else is in there with Patrick, but no, there's not too many of them. But regardless,
it
shows I'm live. It shows I'm live on my YouTube channel. I don't know about my Facebook. And everybody's saying it. Yeah, we've been messing with our stuff, guys. So if something's broke, let us know. It's showing I'm live on Facebook too. So I guess it's working. Maybe we just gonna have a slow crowd tonight, holiday weekend or whatever. But that just means y'all can answer more. Y'all can ask more questions, right?
I don't know what's going on my panel. At first, it was not showing me live. Now it's showing 2 of them live.
I don't know.
It's a holiday weekend, eh?
I'm guessing maybe that's it. But it's actually showing. Yeah, it's showing I've been live for 3 minutes and 42 seconds there. So we're gonna look right quick, make sure. Yeah, I guess we're just not very popular tonight. Yeah, well, it's showing I'm live on episode 91.
It's Labor Day weekend here in the U.S. and so smart people are out enjoying it.
Did you make everybody mad, Steve? There was no notification go out for me. I don't know why. Steve probably messed it up. We've been messing with some settings and trying to get all the bugs worked out. What in the world? Hang on, my darn phone's going on. Let me make sure it ain't nothing important.
All right. Well,
my wife sent me something in Pig Latin.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a little janky tonight, guys. So bear with us. But yeah, we've had to change some stuff. Google has some servers down, so there'll be connection. Okay, well that makes more sense. Dark Forest saying Google's got some server issues going on. Customers are not happy. Glowforge. Yeah, I've got my suspicions on all these network issues we've been having here lately, guys, but I'm going to keep them to myself. I don't think it's a coincidence. We'll just put it that way. I think there might be some activities going on. Everything that's going on in the world today, whether you believe it's a foreign country, or somebody here local or whatever. It looked like pig Latin the way you sent it, Brand. I'm sorry. It's like hubba boo hubba blah blah hubba.
Okay, it looks like I may have two lives going on at the same time.
Well, you try to get twice the watch hours out of it, or what?
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully next week. So we did some back end changes, and it didn't quite publish to mine. So I created one manually, which it didn't seem to link to, but now it is created two other lives on my page. So we'll just roll with this.
Well, the good news is the duct tape and baling wire seems to have somewhat worked, but maybe next week we've made some changes, guys, and we think now hopefully it'll be a little more flawless until we can change to another software, because we've been looking at swapping over because it's nothing, I guess, really against this Restream, but we've been using it for a while now, and they've updated it, but it's caused more issues than it has added features. So we're probably going to be swapping over to a different software in November. November into what I told you, my service runs out.
Yeah, we'll be looking at it in November.
So it'll probably actually be October when we swap over. That way it gives us a month to kind of test it before we roll it out. But it's a little expensive, so I'm just going to keep using the one I got right now.
I'll say it's everything against Restream. Keep changing things and making it difficult. So, yeah. Anyway, we're here. I believe we're live on both channels. I believe things are rolling over.
It's getting there.
Hopefully we got the chat stuff rolling over. So
yeah, it's getting there. All right, but let me run through here and holler at everybody right quick, since it looks like we got some people here. Maybe everybody that needs to be here is here. So what's up, Brad? Brad was the first one in and got in here and visiting with us. I thought he was going to be our only one. All right, Samuel Clayton, how are you? Rusty says he's here. Sandy is here. VT Maker, Elaine, Roger, Chris from the land down under, Jack in the shop. I wonder if he is. Are you actually always in the shop, Jack, or is that just, Who was it that had the Wi-Fi glasses? I don't know what Wi-Fi glasses you're talking about. Maybe talking about my video glasses.
Yeah, you've got your stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know what I'd call them Wi-Fi glasses. But they do connect to Wi-Fi. So
I work in IT, and we kind of learn to translate.
Yeah. New Hampshire, too old to do this. How are you, sir? Stephen, Chris, down under again. Norbert, Samuel. Yeah, Labor Day weekend may be hindering us a little bit, and that's fine. Or maybe people just burn out on us, Steve. They need a break. They need a vacation.
I wouldn't blame
them. Me neither. Clayton says only Ventari's not live, but I think we've determined that we're live everywhere now. Maybe even too much. But yeah, everybody's saying it's a YouTube thing, so we'll see. But anyway, we'll get to doing some questions. A small audience means we get to answer more questions, right, Steve?
There you go. Sure. That's it.
All right, well, I'm going to give you this first one, Mr. VT Maker up there near you. Any suggestions on how to do slots and tabs to join acute angles?
I mean, my angles tend to be pretty ugly, so, I'm not sure I can answer this one. What? No sound effects?
Well, I mean, you're going to have to pretty much, with lasers, there are ways to do things differently, but I don't know that there's a great way to do anything less than 90-degree corners because you're going to have material hanging out. There's no way to unless we start getting machines that can actually tilt the laser to cut like a chop saw. And I mean, I guess that's possible with enough,
So yeah,
stuff. But
with this one, that's where I like developing in uh, in 3D modeling, because what you end up having to do is lengthen both, and then so you're not going to get a tight joint. You're going to have a bit of a gap to it, but you can lengthen out your slot to allow your material to bend to the right angle. But for me, when I've had to do that, it's come down to I draw it up in 3D and make sure that the parts will fit that way. So as far as doing an
yeah,
2D like in Lightburn, I can't help you there, because I would at that point I would be dropping it into 3D.
yeah, and that's the problem with lasers and the way they're configured right now is no matter whether you make it to where if it's not 90 degrees, if you start twisting that material, you're going to have gaps and you're going to have corners protruding, and it's just it's now you can do the the living hinge and make things round that way, but as far as like a box doing any kind of like less than 90 degrees with a box, not going to say it's not possible, but I don't know that it's possible and have it look good.
Well, and that's where I've done even if you don't do the living hinge, you do more segmented points, so they're not slotted together, but they're kind of butting up. But you have just
Yeah.
kind of the corner hitting, but then you'll have the open gap on the outside, depending on the angle and the design. That can look okay, but yeah, it is a bit of a limitation with these.
Yeah, well, I guess Patrick come over here with us. So, welcome, Patrick. How are you, sir? Oh, Samuel said he did his first event a couple weeks ago. It was a huge success, but it wasn't really a craft show. It was more of a thrift flea market type thing. Hey, if you're selling stuff, does it really matter what it is? I mean,
And I've seen that they've got some bigger flea markets that they run. I don't know if it's monthly, but it's maybe quarterly, or they do it a few times between spring, summer, and fall around here. And you get a mix of everybody that are, they're selling old, flea market type stuff to, people selling slabs, doing, custom woodworking and everything in between. So, I mean, it's great, it takes all market. I mean, a lot of people, they'll go to farmers markets here, and it's not just produce or whatever. It's crafters, it's knitters, it's crocheters, it's all that stuff. So
Chris said you got 8 in one and 6 in the other.
well, it's kind of like kids. Sometimes you got to put them in their own rooms.
Overachiever.
I don't know how that happened.
Norbert. Yeah, we used some good duct tape to fix everything. We've been working on it since the last live, trying to get everything straightened out. We obviously still having some issues, but it's working. It worked better. I think it's working better than it did last live. At least everybody's comments are coming into the group now.
It's pulling the comments over, so that I appreciate.
Gray's asking about Lightburn 1.7. No, I have not, and the reason I have not is because I have been busy trying to get caught up on backlog, and the last thing I need is some kind of issue to be created by me updating my Lightburn and then having to go through the trouble of rolling it back. Because when I download a version of Lightburn, I have a folder which I save those in, because I know that they have, the wiki or whatever, you can go back, but I like to have whatever version that I know works on hand to where I can go back to it. So I don't go to updating firmware or updating Lightburn or anything like that when I'm on a deadline. And I've had some machine stuff that I had to get caught up on, and so I'm still rocking the same Lightburn I had last week.
I haven't downloaded it yet, and it's still just release candidates, which is kind of like advanced beta. It's not official yet, but they put it out for the public to take a look at it. They may still fix some things, but it does add some features. So I mean, those with the We Create lasers, it looks like they finally have the camera working. So that'll be a nice feature for them. I may actually have to drag my old 20 watt out again and give it a shot, because I got so just tired of fumbling with their software, and I know their software as well has been updated since then. But there's also they added some features to some of the, like, the node editing as well, that I'm interested in, where you can cut sections out and it's a little more intelligent about it. Um, and there's a whole slew of things you can go look on their wiki about all the changes. Didn't see anything specific about further support for the Xtool S1, but there were a few other things about. Oh, I forget. There was a type of fiber galvo laser that they were adding support for. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. Looks like some decent changes. But yeah, I kind of like you. I've been a little busy to be able to test it, but just kind of did some reading up on it to see what was. I think it was a little bit surprised to people to see it drop already. So
Yeah. Rusty said I don't know if I guess maybe he messaged you, because this is not ringing a bell with me. Said he messaged about his coins not being straight, would cut one side and be unable to flip it and do the other side, and it wouldn't fit in the hole. Actually, I think he may have been messaging me. I do remember somebody having that problem, and I told him to check their tram, more or less, to make sure that the laser was so. Apparently, the laser was angled to the front, but yeah, I think he was. I think it was him, but it's an email from like maybe a week or two ago, I think. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. Glad I was correct at least. Because I mean, because the problem was the kerf was, like I said, he could cut the piece and then try to flip it over and put it in the same hole, and it wouldn't fit. And that's what he had messaged. Now that I realize it was an email, not a message. I think. Heck, I don't know. Y'all know how many messages and emails I get a day?
Yeah, and I get a few emails, I get a few Instagram messages, Facebook messages, and there are some that I find weeks or months later, because they sometimes, for some reason, go into this like hidden other message request location.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So if you haven't heard from me, I mean, A, I may have just been a little busy and missed it, but B, it may be that it's gone into weird social inbox filtering. So
yeah, well, and that's the way a lot of times too, people will message me while I'm at work, at my day job, and when I see it pop up and see what it is, I just kind of, leave it until I can deal with it after work. And sometimes it marks it as read, and I forget to follow up after work. So that happens a lot if somebody messages me while I'm at work.
Yeah.
Royal,
folks, he does that to me too. I mean, I'll message him in the middle of the day, and he'll just completely ignore me and then just send me something, and I'm like, hey, go back and read what I sent you, buddy.
What is it my wife calls it? Leaving me sitting on red.
Yeah.
But Royal TTV said, hey there, first time live viewer. Was wondering if both of us could answer a question. How long did it take to make such amazing shops, and about how much money gets invested in these setups? Well, I did a video about how I got started with my shop, and it's in one of my recent videos, as well as how I started my YouTube channel. About 3 years ago, or a little over, I started transforming this. This was actually just a pole barn, and I started transforming it into a shop. And there's a lot of money been invested in the shop. Prior to the channel and prior to me actually having a viable business, I would just sell lumber and stuff off of my sawmill, make a little bit of money, and go to my local pawn shops and hope that somebody had pawned a piece of equipment that I needed so that I could get a good deal on it. And then as I got more tools, I got more capabilities, I started doing more stuff. And now it's got to where I have customers that I make stuff for every week. And that helps to pay the bills and buy the tools and stuff like that, as well as the money that I can make off of, Etsy and so forth. But it took me about 3 years to get here, and I don't even want to talk about the money because my wife's watching. Because not all of it was Clack Shack money. Some of it was money that I squandered from my old part-time job I used to work. How about you, Steve? I know yours is a little. Yours was started out as was supposed to be a garage, correct?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So I kind of got forced into building this because they were rebuilding. They were completely reconstructing their street. I mean, all the way down to sewer lines, water lines, everything. They tore it up. They dug them down. They completely rebuilt them. And at that time, they had torn out sidewalks and everything. And I wanted to re-pour our old driveway to our original garage, and which is possibly as old as the house. This is an older part of the neighborhood here. I mean, our house was built in 1928-ish, so the garage is about that old. It was it was more of a shack than what your shack is. um, but I wasn't necessarily. I mean, I was dreading having to pay the assessments on the tax for that. But when I went to get all the stuff in order and the permits to re-pour the driveway, they said, "Well, you got to survey for your property lines." I'm like, "Well, I'm just re-pouring what was there. This doesn't matter. You got to survey where your property lines were."
Mm.
Turns out our existing driveway that had been there probably since the 30s was a good foot or more over the property line. And so they're like, "You can't re-pour that there." I said, "Well, it's not big enough to put a driveway back." So
Oh me.
push come to shove, I ended up having to build a new garage. And so in that process, we actually put it off the alleyway instead of out the front, which gave us a better backyard, all that. But it was intended to be a garage with about a 10-foot or so extra up front to have a workbench and a few other things. But I quickly started getting into more and more woodworking, as well as a friend of mine got me hooked on CNC routing. And this is really more towards the model airplane stuff. And I started buying a lot of used tools, and I started making things. And, between my day job income and also doing some side work, was able to start slowly upgrading those tools. Did end up paying fully for my first two CNC machines as well as my laser. I mean, that was all just kind of out of pocket, with the idea that I might be able to do some stuff with it.
Yeah.
But then over time, I was able to start producing more product with both of them, which then meant I could upgrade the bandsaw and upgrade the table saw and upgrade the router table and all that stuff. So it was a lot of just reinvesting what was coming in from making stuff. As for the cost, I don't even know that I want to try to figure it out. It would probably scare my insurance agent.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have done an inventory for him and such, but that, I mean, the key thing there was starting. You don't have to have the nice equipment to get started. You don't have to have the 4x8 foot $40,000 CNC to start. You can get started with a $600-700 desktop benchtop CNC and just build from there. So it's, for me, this has been, well, let's see, I finished this 16 years ago, and the first year or two, it still had vehicles in it. So I've probably been building out this shop over the past 14 years. So that's how long it's taken me to get here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, and that's the way I did. I started out, like I said, mine actually started with a sawmill. That's why, if you look at my logo, it actually has a saw blade. That saw blade through the middle, it looks like a bandsaw blade. It's was supposed to be the sawmill blade, because that's where like all the pine boards that are on the wall. I mean, you've got to come down here and run the mill with me and everything. But I started. Everything was revolving around the sawmill, and then I started taking the wood, making stuff with it, and got into the woodworking, and then I decided I wanted to be able to put my mark on stuff, and so I bought the X-Tool D1, my first one, and then I started doing stuff with it and doing tumblers and stuff, and then it got to where I couldn't keep up with the jobs, so then I bought my second X-Tool D1, which was the Pro, and after that, YouTube and everything took off, and it's just been, laser, CNC, all that since then. But now that guy over there, I did purchase. I saved up for the first year or so, and got that guy. So,
And
but yeah,
and
it's
and just for clarification, those first three, the sawmill and the two lasers, those were all forgiveness versus permission purchases, correct?
yeah, they were. Yeah, my wife found out about my sawmill at lunch. One of my buddies thought that she knew that I had bought it or ordered it, and she didn't know, so he let that cat out of the bag. And the lasers, I just kind of did that one kind of like a band-aid purchase. I just went ahead and did it fast so it wouldn't sting as long, and went ahead and just told on myself. It's like, hey, by the way, I ordered an $800 laser. If you see the charge on the credit card, but here's the cash to pay it back or whatever. And she's like, why did you pay $800? You paid $800 for a what? And I was like, a laser. What kind of laser? I think she was thinking like laser, like you would shine for the cats to chase. Or either one that would go on a handgun or something. But I explained it to her, and she just kind of, did that reassuring look like wives do. But
Yeah.
she's forgave me.
So, well, before we get to that, I mean, I think we need to highlight this one really quick. But so Gray brings up a good question. Would home insurance cover all the toys in our shops?
Now I'm underinsured
So
out here.
that is a good
Yeah.
question for your insurance agent. And here's the thing: if you're doing legitimate business, like you have formed an LLC or even a sole proprietorship, uh, and you have a garage fire, no, they're not going to cover anything that was business related. Now, if you're doing it as a hobby and occasionally sell a thing or two, but you're not actively in business, that's a gray area where they'll probably, a good insurance agent's going to say, this is just a hobby, right? Wink. And they'll cover it. Other
Well,
ones
actually,
will say no, you're doing this for business, and it's not covered. But that's definitely something you should review with your insurance agent. The other thing too, though, is it's good to check even if you have homeowners insurance. Um, there's a difference between there could be all sorts of caveats. So my shop, my garage is actually a detached structure from my house, so it's insured differently than my house. And the funny thing, when I was reviewing this, um, the items inside were all insured fairly well, but the structure itself was underinsured due to the increased cost of construction these days. So
yeah.
as much as it's painful to sit down and talk with your insurance agent because they're always going to try to sell you on something else, it is good to have those reviews and talk with them about what you're doing. You may need to pick up some business insurance to cover your equipment and supplies and other things. But yeah, it's uh, yeah, otherwise you're taking it as a personal liability if you ever lose anything. So
Yeah, I'm underinsured, and because my outbuilding coverage, I've got a 50 horsepower tractor, I've got my lawnmower, and I've got my little RTV. The three of those machines, the value of those three or replacement cost of those three, gobbles up the majority of my coverage. So, yeah, me and Brady have talked about it. I've got to do something, but what I'm going to have to do is either get like a whole nother policy for the business or one heck of a rider for all the extra equipment, because a lot of this in here is just my hobby, but then a lot of it is my business. It's a mixed bag, but yes, I've got to, and that's what we've talked about. When I build my new shop, especially, because then I'll have a different building. I've thinking about separating it, because right now this is used for my household stuff as well as the business stuff. But if I build another building, the goal is to just have the business related stuff in that building and leave like my lawnmower and weed eaters and stuff like that. Leave those here. So hopefully that would make me be able to separate it better when you start filling out that paperwork. So yeah.
mhm. Another question along those lines. Craig was asking how many taking it from a hobby to a business. How many go doing business as versus an LLC? Um, and there's depending on your state, it's not that difficult to form an LLC, and it gives you a lot better protections and some easier tax reporting breaks and such than just a DBA. Definitely
Yeah.
gives you better liability coverage um, between your personal finances as well as your business. So um, I don't remember where it was. I saw somewhere recently someone was talking about they were looking into, I think, Legal Zoom or something like that. It was coming up as like $500 to fill out the paperwork. Please, please, please check with your state, whether it's your Secretary of State or Commerce or whatever. There's an organization that does all the business filings for your state. More and more of them have a fairly simple online. They'll practically walk you through it, some basic questions. And for a simple one person LLC, a lot of them are fairly simple. I mean, for me in Minnesota, I think it was $180 to file. I was able to fill out the paperwork within, I mean, I think it took me maybe 20 minutes online. Um, and there are some other things you need to do after that. But, you know, the whole tax ID and other things are separate. But definitely look into your state's LLC processes, and you might be surprised at how simple and affordable they are outside of some of these places that are going to try to sell you on, oh, we'll take care of everything for you. Well, the reason they charge you for that is because they really don't have to do that much work.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. When I first got mine started, even though Brandy does a lot of that stuff, like that's what she does is like business management, startup stuff. I was doing it myself, and I wanted to be familiar with it. I wanted to learn it, and I did. I went through was it LegalZoom or one of them? But now the difference is I knew what I needed and what I didn't need,
Yeah.
because they will upsell you and sell you stuff that you don't need. And the reason I did it with LegalZoom was just more or less because it was just simple, and the cost of using LegalZoom was a write-off. You know, forming your LLC, all that money. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll pay them, let them do that part of it, and then they give you a checklist of things that you got to do. But really, it's the LLC, like you said, you can do yourself. It's not that complicated. Then you get your tax information set up, your tax accounts, get your EIN, and the most complicating part of it is knowing what taxes you have to pay every year here in Alabama, because man, there are so many business this tax, business that tax. They really should simplify it, because every time I try to pay my taxes, I end up overpaying because their website is just garbage. I mean, we all know that government websites are the best thing going, right? But their website is garbage, and it either overcharges you. Like right now, I've got a credit on my sales tax account, but there's no way to use that credit but their payment system didn't go through one time, and it scared me. I thought I was going to be late and get that $100 late fee, and so I paid it again, and I've done that 2 or 3 times, and it never would. It would go through after I paid it the second time. Both of them would go through, and I built up a $200 credit on sales tax, and I can't you can't redeem it. It's just there. So it's crazy, but it's complicated. But I would say an LLC would be what I would. My research said do a LLC, and that's what I would do too, personally. That's what I did. Bass angler. I loved my older V35 and P20. I've still got the V35. The L2, I had bad luck with it, and it died. And Acer just wasn't willing to go the extra mile to help me get it back up and going. So I got the L2 or L24 or whatever you want to call it was not my favorite Acer machine. Other than that, the rest of them I liked.
Yeah, I still have mine. I haven't fired it up in a while. It's actually hanging on the wall back there. But I also have the IKEA, the 48 watt, which is very, very similar. So you may get lucky. I mean, and that's the biggest complaint I hear recently is people are having trouble getting parts and support. So you may have some luck getting some from IKEA, but they may even move on from that design and work out. But yeah, I mean, if you've already got it, play with it, work with it. Just know that if it breaks, we don't know how responsive they are at this point. So.
Yeah. Norbert, we just discussed that earlier. Me and Steve both been too busy to really fool with it. So neither one of us have any input on the 1.7 yet. We haven't done a chance. Fred, I'm not even gonna say it.
Hammer.
Yeah. Wants to know why are the MOPA lasers not on a gantry? Uh, I mean, you want to take a whack at that? I mean, I guess there's really not. It's just a matter of. I guess it would just be a matter of demand and what you use them for.
Well, you're not going to get the speed with a gantry that you can with the Galvo.
Yeah.
And you're generally looking at engraving and not cutting with those. So that's one of the biggest things right now.
Yeah. Now you can have a IR, which is not a MOPA, but you can have a IR on a gantry. That's what that is.
Yeah, I'm guessing right there what they're looking for is the working area.
Yeah.
You do lose a bit there going to the Galvos,
But typically, the stuff that you're going to do with those are going to be relatively small, and you can get a bigger Galvo. You just the cost goes up extensively the bigger they get.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the sure enough like commercial laser cutters are fiber machines, but you do not want to purchase one of those as a hobby. Uh, you're talking $250,000 piece of machinery that is as big as most people's workspace. So,
yep.
Chris said put a Galvo on a gantry. That would be confusing.
Question about just getting into diodes of all CO2. If my laser won't engrave or cut in the same place twice, is that a belt issue? It's one definite thing to check. It is if they're not tight enough or if they're too tight, it's going to have trouble. Being consistent. It could be missing. If it's too loose, it could definitely be missing steps. It could be slipping on the belt and such. The other thing to make sure is that it's square. If your gantry's slightly off, that can have an effect on that. But the other thing too is it's rare, but on a few of them, if you have it moved to a park location or if you have it rehome each time, that can actually, if there's any sort of mechanical issues, it can bump it off of where it was at, and then it's almost like moving it yourself. So I usually will have it park not exactly in the corner, but 25 millimeters off, so about an inch in off the corner. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would start with your belts. Make sure those are looking good. If you have one of those timing rods, make sure that there might be set screws on there that are a little bit loose, and that might be slipping a little bit as well. So definitely mechanical things are probably the things to look at, and usually it's somewhere between the stepper motor and the end point, so it could be belts or those gears.
Yeah, Patrick said he's been running 1.7 for a while, and I guess he's happy with it. But yeah, I haven't. Like I said, switching softwares while I'm in high production or trying to turn stuff out is just I've had bad experiences with that, so I avoid that at all costs. Once everything calms down and I've got some free time, then I'll start updating stuff. Let me see if I can't get caught up. I am far behind on these comments. Here we go. Down to the bottom.
So VT Maker's asking, can you use a water-cooled spindle in a garage in a cold weather environment? Well, if your garage is insulated and heated.
I mean, with the antifreeze.
With antifreeze, you can work down colder. And in a water-cooled spindle like that, it's probably not going to be as big of an issue as, say, a CO2 laser, where you get too much of a temperature difference and then you can get condensation, which then can create some issues. It's probably not as much of an issue in the water-cooled spindle, but you do still have to be mindful of, if it's unheated and it is going to freeze overnight. Anytime you're dealing with liquids, antifreeze is going to help to a point, but it's still going to freeze up. eventually. So, um, yes, but there are limits to that.
If you're in Alabama, you don't have to worry too much about it. Just throw a little antifreeze in there, you're good.
Well, they think you need antifreeze.
Oh yeah, we actually do get some freezing days every now and then. It'll sneak up on you if you don't watch it.
Well, you can just leave it running then.
V said she looked at a shipping container today. They're pretty cheap. Might make a good shop. I mean, I guess they could, but I'm gonna be honest with you. The prices that some people want for these shipping containers, if you go to one of these places that does those little buildings and stuff, the little prefab buildings, you can almost get a like building for what you can get the shipping container. Because what you've got to realize is in order to run wiring and electrical and put insulation in a shipping container, you're gonna have to frame up walls, and there goes an added cost. Now, if you got somebody that's actually making them like living spaces on the inside already, that might be worth it. But
I think it depends on your region. Up here, you can definitely get a shipping container. So, the amount of square foot you can get in a shipping container versus the prefab sheds and buildings is easily probably 3 times the space of
wow,
prefab stuff here. So depending on where you're at in the area, yeah, I've seen a lot of people do it. I mean, if you get a good one, they're weather tight, and a lot of people will do some insulation to it, but they'll run conduit along the walls, just screw into them, and it's definitely a viable option. So, but you also have to figure out, can you do that? There's not everywhere is going to let you just drop a shipping container onto your property. So,
yeah. Well, this place up here near us, they've got some of those the little buildings that they put on the back of a rollback or whatever looking thing and bring out. They've got some massive ones. I rode by there the other day, and it looks almost like a mobile home. It's so long. It's probably 50 feet long and 12 foot wide. But shipping containers here aren't that cheap. I think I saw a couple of them the other day for like $5,000, and that's just
well, and that's what I'm saying is up here. There's some places that sell like those prefab sheds, but for $5,000 you get like a 12 by 24 prefab shed. Whereas for $5,000 you get a full size shipping container. So that's the, like I say, it's regional. Depending on where you're at, it may or may not make sense if there are other options. But yeah, I've seen people do it.
Yeah. Craig, I use QuickBooks, and I highly recommend QuickBooks. I know several people that have tried it since I've started using it, and so far, everybody's happy with it. The cool thing about it is with QuickBooks, especially if you do Etsy, it like QuickBooks and Etsy are like cousins, and so it integrates really well. It tracks everything for you, reports what needs to be reported for you. QuickBooks also makes tax, invoicing, receiving payments, all of that, makes it really easy. It links to your bank accounts. I mean, it is just, and you can do everything from your phone. Like when I make a purchase with my business card, I take a picture of it with my phone. It uploads it to my QuickBooks and automatically reads the information, creates basically like an entry into the QuickBooks, and then pairs it with the bank transaction. So it's really, really simple to me. But I'm not good at bookkeeping, so.
Yeah, it's definitely a good option. It can be overkill for the basic. I mean, if you're just doing a few craft shows a year and not selling online and not, I mean, you can get by with other stuff. You can get by with a spreadsheet stuff if your stuff is simple. But once you start adding extra channels and dealing with possibly multiple sales tax areas and such, it's definitely something to look at. But it can also be a lot more than you need, depending on your business. So.
Scrolling, trying to catch up. Yeah, Chris, I saw where Nick was. He's got like a 3-car garage. Maybe he can pull it off, but I would never have any luck with that. So,
It's been a couple years since I've had a car in here.
yeah, I don't think you're going to be fitting a car in there unless you get like a Mini Cooper or smart car or something like that, maybe.
Uh, I mean, I can move some things around and get
What's
one in here
up?
pretty quick if I need to.
What's up, David Allen? See you. Made it in there. And then talked about the insurance. Talked about. Yeah, I used Excel for the first year or two, but then when you start collecting sales tax and having to turn around and pay that sales tax back out, it's $30 a month. To me, was a lot easier to swallow than trying to track all that stuff with the sales tax and even the income tax. It makes income tax at the end of the year easy because your deductions and your write-offs are already in there. You just hit the print out my taxes information button and file them and go. No, Gray, the cats are going to get to stay in here. I would hate to remove them from their home. They'll get to stay in here when I move to my new shop. But I'll have to come through periodically and pick up the dead animals. I picked up one today that was they laid it back here in the back where I almost didn't see it. Oh, Flomath and Famous says they've been using their laser. They won, what was that one? The Whizmaker, your favorite, back last year at the event at Pedals from the Past, which is coming up again here in, matter of fact, this month. We'll be doing the event at Pedals from the Past in Jemison. Myself and Brandy, as long as she doesn't change her mind, will be there.
Cool. Yeah, I loaned my machine like that out to a friend too. So
Roger. Let's see. Oh man, have I gotten? Okay, no, it's just some of the same comments. Let's say, have I gotten behind again?
let's see here.
There's your nerdy question.
So this goes back to the glasses that we recommend. You want to make sure that they are covering the wavelength. So your blue diode one is a 455 nanometer wavelength, whereas the IR is 1020. And so these free mascot lenses, they say right up in the top.
Did you say 1020 or 1064?
Sorry, 1064. You're right.
Okay.
So this one is covers 190 to 550 wavelength as well as 800 to 1100. So if your goggles are the right specs, you can still use them, but you'd want to look, and I don't know if my camera's going to pick it up, but you'll see at the top, since it's still focusing on me.
Ooh, it's trying.
Text, it's trying. It will have engraved on there what they are rated for. If yours don't have that, it's hard to tell what they are rated for, if they're even rated for your regular diode. So I would definitely look for a pair of glasses that are for that wavelength. So some will do just one or the other. These happen to cover both, but these would not be good for CO2. So
yeah. Well, this is actually, if you went the other way and you had, this is the blue diode and this is the IR. You can wear these alternating, or you can just wear this pair. So that's why I wear these. That way it doesn't matter which machine that I'm near. Let's see here. Norbert, I've got a couple of videos. He's talking about asking about my tips and tricks section. I've got a couple of videos that kind of cover just little things such as, like Steve was talking about earlier, about setting the park location and stuff like that. And I forgot what I called it. It's something like Lightburn 101 or tricks or something. But It probably wouldn't hurt to refresh that every now and then because there are new things coming out.
Al's asking, where can I get aftermarket laser heads? How do I get specs on them to fit voltage requirement? A lot of places aren't going to sell just the heads separately. I mean, they might as replacement parts, but they're generally going to be tied to their controller. But you can get a kit, like from J-Tech Photonics. It'll have, the laser head and controller you can add to a number of CNC machines. So that might be a path you want
Was
to
it
look at.
Laser Tree? I think Laser Tree
Laser
sells
Tree
some.
has some kind of generic modules that will work with a variety of controllers, but um, those are the two I would probably look at right off the top of my head.
J-Tech. Is that the one you said?
Yeah,
I thought so.
they make
I was
them
trying to
for like
read.
the Onefinity and the Shapeoko and such.
Mm-hmm. uh, Jim, as far as I do a terrible job of that because I don't keep a whole lot of blanks. Like I get blanks to, like if I get an order in for X number of whatever, that's what I order. But I keep a small regiment of things on hand, just for testing and just one offs if somebody wants something. And in my trailer, I have a bunch of like small blanks for events and stuff. But basically, the way I keep track of it is when it starts getting time to go do an event, I go in the trailer and I look, see how many I got. If I need more, I order them. That's how I keep up with it. I go check because this most of what I do here in the shop from week to week is wood and stuff, is materials. It's not so much blanks. So what you got over there? Oh, that means you're low on. That means you're low on inventory.
Well, I've been doing some shuffling out here, and condensing and getting rid of some things. But if you can find yourself a good storage system, and these, I used to use these when I do my shows for model airplane stuff because I'd have all the random accessories that would need to come on. So these are nice because they stack at the events and such. But they do work well for a variety of different things, and so you kind of have a visual inventory of them. Um, Depending on, there's also like your, keeping track of inventory for tax purposes and such. I if I break too many or I use them for other purposes, I try to make a note of that. But yeah, it's usually just in and out for, uh, I'm getting low on blanks. Let's order another lot of them, whatever they are. So keep track of that more in just the the either your Excel spreadsheet for your business or for QuickBooks. You can kind of go back and look at your transaction history.
Yeah, you can track inventory in QuickBooks. I don't, because like I said, because then you got to try to figure out how, when you, especially like doing what me and you do when we're doing testing or whatever. It's not like you're going to attach that to an invoice or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I dropped the link for the glasses that me and Steve were talking about in the chat. Whoever it was asking. I saw a couple people asking about what brand or whatever. There's a link down there where we get them on Amazon. They have other flavors of the glasses. Just make sure that they're the OD6 and they're 190 through 550 and 800 through 1100 wavelength. Those are the ones that me and Steve use, and so far we can still both see. So, assuming they work. What you looking for back there, big fella?
Well, I got to turn on my machine to be able to answer this question. I'm actually running an older version. I haven't updated it in a while. Much like what some people are finding with a few other firmware updates on their lasers. If it's not broke, I don't always fix it, and so I am running an older version of the build botics. So let me see what pops up here. I am running 1.1.1 instead of 1.4.1. So as you can see, I'm back a ways.
Woo! You back a couple of versions there. Jim, it is better to over order than it is to under order, because I have done both, and at least when you over order, you don't lose money, as long as you sell them eventually. That is.
I was going to say, I can back
As long as you sell them eventually. Like the last peach jam, I sold out and couldn't sell anything else, so that's kind of sucked because there were people wanting products that I didn't have. Jim, I'm not sure. I thought I did, but don't quote me on that. Let me check. Not sure. No, what I was going to do, and I haven't done it yet, I don't think I have anyway, was I was going to take that adapter for the F1 Ultra and just stick it in there with the F1, or either just do a whole set. I wanted to do a whole set for the F1 Ultra, but the reason that I did my little adapter was because I didn't want to have to reinvent the whole set of jigs to do the video. But that was one of those things. It was kind of on my busy list to give me something to do, was to take and come up with something and just do a whole kit for the Ultra. But yeah, I've been busy and haven't done that yet. Huh. What you trying to figure out over there?
I was just trying to get connected.
Oh, you done tore up the Onefinity? Hey, when's your new Onefinity like machine gonna get there?
You mean the Elite Foreman upgrade?
Yeah.
Well, one would have to order it first.
Stingy guy.
I just, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is I would love it. I think it would be great. But I also have not maxed out what I've been doing with this one. I mean, there are things, it wouldn't solve anything for me. It would make some things a little bit nicer is what it would do, but at the cost of a couple of grand. So I haven't stumped that upgrade yet.
Gray said you got one of the chairs you've been thinking about buying.
Oh yeah, this one, the Viper chair.
Yeah, that's a fancy chair. We can't afford that kind of chair over here at the Clack Shack.
Well, it's it's very nice, and the fact that you can kind of roll over cords, and also I can be tough on chairs. I'm a tall, big guy, so yeah, it is a nice chair, but it's a spendy chair. But it's hopefully the chair that I'll be using forever, and maybe my kids can fight over it if they're into garage workshop stuff.
Yeah, well, I had to get an orthopedic chair. Mine actually has lumbar support.
So is this one?
Oh, that's not enough for somebody that's had back surgery. So.
Yeah, no, I have on my office chair, I have a really nice extra back support, little vented cushion thing. So.
Yeah, see, this was almost an office chair, but it's a really tall, armless stool thing. Brady said, "If you upgrade your chair, I can get your old one." But I've got her one right here. Like, it doesn't have a back or anything. But I mean, it works. That's where she comes out here and sits when she wants to come sit with me.
I mean, I don't know. It just kind of sounds like she gave you permission to buy a new chair, but you want to pass on that, I guess.
Oh, wait a minute. Wrong one. There it is. True.
I mean, that's just natural. Being up here in Minnesota, it is colder, so
I don't think that's what he was meant by that.
well, that's how I'm taking it. She says that's a terrible chair, and I agree because that's what stuck me on when I was down there.
He said, "At least you guys aren't using one of those dumb racing chairs you see all YouTubers use." Well, if you ain't figured it out yet, we're not your average YouTube personality. We're accidental YouTubers. we don't really know what we're doing or anything. We're not professionals, so we don't have regular chairs like they got. Now this one's like a cross between a bar stool and an office chair because it does have. Let me show you. Hold on.
Well, I think that's called like a drafting chair kind of thing.
Yeah. Woo! Hang on.
Don't hurt. You're gonna hurt yourself, man.
See, it does have this little foot area right here. So yeah, and it's adjustable. All that good jive. But yeah, drafting chair. That's what it was called. Because I was trying to find something that would support my back. Because before I had a stool, like literally a homemade stool, and it was when I first started having my back started hurting, and I thought it was because I was sitting in here with no lumbar support, kind of hunched over, working all the time. So I went and bought this chair, thinking that it was gonna, fix my problem. Actually, I bought one at Tractor Supply, or not Tractor Supply. What's that darn? Woodcraft, and it broke first day I had it, and nearly killed me. So then I went to Amazon and bought this one. And it's been serving me pretty well. Matter of fact, the one from, this is the one I bought at Woodcraft. It had like a little plastic tractor seat looking thing. But once it broke and tried to kill me, I customized it with a pine bottom and engraved it. And I recycled all the parts except for the little plastic tractor seat. So this is a guest chair. But it doesn't roll. But I paid $100-something for the chair, so when it broke, I was like, I don't want to throw the whole thing away. The rest of the parts were still good. It was the plastic, like tractor seat looking thing. It broke and like almost cut my leg in half. So it wasn't rated. It wasn't rated for my weight, apparently.
You're like one of the guys I work with. He's really rough on chairs too.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm probably not as rough as you are. You're a little heavier than I am, right, Bacon?
It's not necessarily about, some of those small guys, they like to throw their weight around, like little
Small.
dogs.
I don't know that I don't know that I would categorize myself as small either, but whatever. I'll take that as a compliment and move on.
All right. So the question is where did I? Well, I mean that too, but where did I buy mine? It's from a place called Viper Industrial. They're out of Wisconsin, so somewhat regional to me. And I will warn you, get a little sticker shock looking at these. But I went down to visit my friend Chris at a Glimpse Inside a year before this, so a year and a half ago, and he had one, and I got see when I was in his shop, he gave me a really nice stool to sit on.
I gave you my guest chair. I didn't have the new one. See, look, this right here is a man. This is a good one. This is my new one. It's a dumpster rescue. The back broke on it, and they were going to throw it away. And I was like, you know what? That's got nice padding for Steve to sit on when he comes to visit. And so instead of throwing it in the dumpster, I just brought it I just took the broken piece off of it and kept it here for you, Steve.
Came to visit him, and he had me sit on garbage. So, but yeah, no, I hemmed and hawed over this for a while, and then and my wife was like, "Hey, again, if it'll help you feel better, and because tall guy, bad chairs, you can hurt your back pretty bad like that." So, yeah, and I talked with the company too. They're a good company. They do provide good support. They make everything as much of it as they can there in Wisconsin. So, I've been very happy with it, but it's very industrial, and you pay for it. But I've honestly, I mean, those racing chairs that other YouTubers sit on. Some of them are this much or more. So
Yeah. Yeah, I thought those were gaming chairs. Are those gaming chairs or racing chairs? Or
yeah,
I mean, what are
they're
the?
gaming chairs. Yeah, gaming chairs. They're kind of a little both. Some of them.
They
So
do look like they ought to have like a six. What is it? 6-point harness or whatever
some of them
built
have
into
little
it.
slots that, I mean, technically you almost could, but yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Gray said they can order one and get you sponsorship. I don't know that that's the reason, but okay. All right.
Yeah, they are not cheap, but they are very nice, and so every so often, you I decide to bite the bullet. But that's one thing that you talk to my wife, she will get tired of me hemming and hawing and deliberating and researching, and she's like, "Would you just buy it so you stop talking about it?" Then I know I have permission.
All right. Well, I ain't trying to say that you got it. You wealthy over there at Ventari's workshop or anything, but there's my chair. $146. That's right. Poor people over here. That's what we had to sit on. And I've got something eating me up, guys. He's a critter or something I got in my
Careful.
shirt.
Not that kind of show.
He's a critter or something I got in my shirt. It's probably one of them sugar ants. Something keeps biting me.
Yeah, a good chair. It's hard to find, because it's very much individual taste on how it, where the back support is, how tall it is, whatever. So,
Yeah.
but if you spend a lot of time in it, it's worth finding the right one for you.
Oh yeah, see, I like this one because I can somewhat lean back, but it doesn't have a whole lot of give because I've tightened it up where it can't. But
Yeah.
I can actually, like, if I'm doing market research, watching YouTube videos, I can kind of lean back in my chair and relax and have some support. So, it's pretty good. Good gosh, what in the world? Critters done got in here. I'm finna have to go take my shirt off, see what this critter is, I guess.
Telling you, it's not that kind of show.
Ow. Ow.
But
Something's wearing me out. Hang on a minute.
well, while he's doing that, I will remind everybody about our laser engraving community on Facebook. There's links, hopefully, in the descriptions of each of our videos. You can go, and that's a good way to connect with us as well as other people. And so people share projects and ideas, ask questions, but we try to keep the promotion and the that to a minimum. So we ask, give more than you take in there. We also have maps. There's a map that's linked. It's a Google map. There's a form you can fill out if you want to drop a pin on there. You want to put your business name, personal name, screen name, and then like a city, state, or whatever out there. It's kind of cool to see where people are from. We reference it if we're ever going anywhere and want to try to see if there's a meetup. So I gotta bring it up here to see where we're at. We're over 500. Coming up, yeah, we're almost at 550. So, and we haven't quite been doing that for a year, so it's been growing pretty well. So if you haven't checked that out, check out the links down below, see where all the pins are, and maybe if you want to drop yours on there, fill out that form, and I will refresh and update that.
Oh, these folks. Some of these folks funny. All right, up north wants to know what kind of power do you guys have run to your shops? I've just got a service out here. It's got its own meter and everything, so I don't have like a pull off from the house. I outgrew the ability to have a breaker in my main breaker box back over at the house, and had to install actually have a meter set out here. So, which is from a business perspective is better because that way I can pay my shop bill, separate from the house instead of trying to calculate and all that crap. So, from a business perspective, it helps. But the reason I did that is because it got to the point to where a buried service was going to power everything that I needed here, was going to overload the main breaker box in the house. So is yours on a separate system?
I've got a sub panel, so it's tapped off my main one. Trenched that by hand from the house. That was fun. So yeah, it's a sub panel off our main service.
Cool. I don't have a longer 40 watt. I've got a longer 30 watt that I occasionally use, but it's hanging right over there. Because most of the time I use my machines that are in the enclosures. There you go, Patrick defending himself because he's got a gaming chair. he said he works at Sam's. That's what they had, so that's what he got. Which it's fine. I mean, if I could find a comfortable chair that would suit my needs, I'm not against it. It's just
I tried a few, but
that's what
it's. I'm taller. I got long legs, and I've never found one that I sit on. I can never get that spacing of the seat to the back right. So I ended up getting it's a different office chair from I think I picked it up at Office Max. And that's the one I was able to on sale. I think it was about $150 after a couple of deals. I had to buy my kid with college starting. I had to buy him a new desk last year, so I got to kind of buy a desk, get a chair for a certain percent off. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Sam, those are usually on your other channel.
All right, John says it's his birthday. He's 35 today. Stay strong. And now Steve will sing to you happy birthday. All right, go ahead, Steve.
Is that? Yeah, it is in public domain, isn't it?
You're not gonna sing?
I mean, we're gonna need.
Well,
more
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, guys. I tried getting him to sing for y'all.
I got dragged into karaoke once, and I haven't heard the end of it, and that was over a decade ago.
Hey, when I retire, we've been talking about I might have a karaoke party, like a live karaoke live here at the shack.
Pretty sure I'm busy that week.
We could make that work, couldn't we? We could make that work, couldn't we?
Sure.
Jim, I don't think I will be going to LBX because everybody that I've talked to that went, I just don't know how much of a benefit to me it would be. I don't understand how it would benefit what I do necessarily. I use Lightburn, but I'll have to do some more research, but so far I just don't see the benefit to me for the expense.
It's also in or near New York next year, so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't allow people from Alabama to come to New York, so I probably won't be able to go to that one.
I mean, that would be entertaining for me, but
I've been to New York, but it was right after Hurricane Sandy, and they were welcoming the help because they had their hands full. Somebody wants to know the link to my chair, so I'll put that right there. Like I said, it's done me well. That's all I can tell you. But yeah, I don't like traveling to certain states. I'm just going to throw this out there, guys. When I travel, there are certain things that travel with me that are restricted or not allowed in certain states. And certain states, like when last time I went to New York City, I got a lecture from an NYPD guy about how certain ammunition was illegal in the state of New York. And keep in mind, this is during the hurricane. Like, there's no electricity. Like, the Lincoln Tunnel's underwater. The whole place is just a madhouse. And I got lectured by an NYPD police officer. It basically threatened to be taken to jail because the ammunition that I was carrying was not permitted in the state of New York. So that's probably the closest I've ever came to going to jail because, needless to say, I got a little bit of an attitude with that guy because he was probably all of like 19 years old. And it was just, I had drove 24 hours to go up there and try to help these guys maintain some semblance of security. And that was kind of what I was met with was, are you armed? And I'm like, well, yeah, obviously. You can kind of tell that. And then the second question was what kind was, when I told him, I was like, well, under the circumstances, I can go to all 50 states, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, but what kind of ammo do you have? And I'm like, what, is this a trick question? And so that's when he tried to throw out that the ammunition that I was carrying was illegal in the state of New York because I was carrying hollow points, which is not technically not a hollow point. It's a tactical ammunition, which most every police department in the state of Alabama, it is standard issue equipment for them. It is a federal. It's actually federal tactical ammunition, and they specifically make it for that application. And it's the ammunition that I am required to certify with, so it's therefore the ammunition that I'm required to carry. And I explained it to him. I'm like, well, guy, I mean, I'm in a bit of a dilemma here because I don't think I'm going to find an ammo shop to sell me the ammo that, y'all require. And secondly, if I do buy the ammo that y'all require, who's going to take me to the range and qualify me with it so that I'm legal to carry it? So it was a big old mess. So, not a place I was real fond of. Well, Gray, luckily there's a federal statute and I ain't got my ID card with me, but there's actually a federal statute that because I am active law enforcement and will be eventually retired law enforcement, there's a 50 state rule to where I can carry in basically all 50 states. But this guy, like I said, I'm surprised this guy was even old enough to go to the academy. And I can't help but remember thinking to myself, no wonder people in New York don't like the police. Because that guy was a total jack. I didn't like him either.
I'm with you. I figured this was the reason myself. Between that and walking out.
No, hey, believe it or not, you go over into Harlem and some of those places that sell like soul food and stuff. They actually have things that I'm used to eating down here, but they don't have sweet tea up there, and they don't have grits. I did find that out, but I was living off MREs when I was up there, so there was no. Towards the end, things started opening back up, but when I first got up there, it was literally the morning after Hurricane Sandy made landfall, and so there was nothing nowhere. The tunnels were all closed, flooded. Was it Long? Is it Long Island? I think is it Long Island or something. One of the islands out there. This like lots of expensive houses on it. It was like a sandbar with houses sitting on it because the sand had washed up all the way across the street. A lot of the houses had water lines like halfway up to where the doorknob was supposed to be on the house. I mean, it was a mess.
So, I did something, did a little playing around today, and I know this probably isn't, it's not like no one else has ever done this before. But this is a ceramic tile.
Yeah.
And I did not add anything to this before engraving it.
Oh, so that's an engrave?
It's an engrave.
Is it blue?
It's blue.
Huh.
So I
used
the IR setting on the LP5, which will engrave through the white ceramic, and that adds some depth to it. And then I took the acrylic markers, just shading in everything, and then just wiped the rest off with water because where it engraves through the ceramic, it gets into that kind of more porous material, and the paint will actually kind of stain and stick to that. Whereas with the the polished ceramic aside, it'll just wash right off. So
Sweet.
Kind of made a kind of a cool little color fill, and with those paint markers, you could definitely go in and add different colors to these and such. But just something I was kind of playing around with, needing to test the laser pecker on a few things, and thought I'd give
Cool.
that a shot. So kind of a fun thing to do. But like I said, it worked well with the IR setting on that laser.
Yeah. No, Jim, I don't own a 38. Bill's wanting to know who's the oldest member here. Yeah, Gray, I tried explaining to that guy because he was like, you have to carry, what did he tell me? FMJs. And I'm like, why in the world? One of the most highly populated places on the planet that has more multi-level housing than anywhere else in the United States. Why in the world would you want your police officers carrying FMJs? I mean, you could shoot through 4 apartments, with if you hit the walls just right. But anyway, yeah, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But they said that the bullets, the injuries, like the wounds were less traumatic. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, but yeah, but if you miss and hit the wall, you're going to kill somebody 3 apartments down.
Right.
So, but they don't. I don't think they use logic a lot up there. Some of the people making those rules.
Yeah, Kingdom. This definitely you could use a CO2 to do that engraving. That wavelength will work. With the diodes, you'd have to add a binder to do the first engrave, and then you could try doing the color fill as long as like if you're using a black paint, as long as that's not going to stain it afterwards. So
yeah, well, Tim, luckily for me, that law applies to retired also. Yeah, we don't, Philip. We don't have that problem down here in south of. I can honestly say Kentucky. I've been through Kentucky, Virginia, the Carolinas. I've been all over the place. Now, typically, I don't advertise what I've got with me, but yeah, I never had any problems like what I had up there, and the circumstances was what was really bad. But it wasn't everybody up there. On the same note, I went to visit. I walked probably a mile from where I was staying to go to Ground Zero, because when they told me that I was being released to go back home, I was like, cool. So I'm like, I want to go see Ground Zero before I leave. Well, I walked like a mile to get there. And then, of course, when I get there, the first thing that I see is a metal detector. And so I pulled the little security people, because there were security officers there. I pulled them to the side, and I'm like, hey, me and this metal detector here may have some disagreements. And do y'all have, a protocol or like a walk around line that I can walk around the metal detector to keep from scaring people when it goes off? And of course, the security guy says, yeah, you can't bring that in here. And I was like, what? I said, here's my credentials. Like, I'm active, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah, you can't bring that in here. And I'm like, and I'm looking at this security now, who has one. And I'm thinking, and I almost didn't go, but then I kind of like mustered up the strength. And I asked him, I said, well, do you have a lockbox or somewhere that I could store it until I get back? And this security guy tells me, no, sir, you'll have to take it, to your house or to your car or wherever and leave it and come back. And I'm like, I'm not fixing to walk 4 miles total through New York. But then I managed to meet a nicer police officer who had a patrol car parked outside, and me and him worked up something so that I could go visit Ground Zero before I left New York, because they weren't going to let me in with it, and I couldn't just leave it sitting on the street corner, expect it to be there when I got back. So, but it's different when you travel like that, and you're used to being in Alabama or Tennessee or Florida or Mississippi, Georgia. You go somewhere like that, it's a different world. Maybe Minnesota's not that way, because I plan on coming up there about another year.
I mean, it's a fairly purple state, and with the level of sportsmen and a lot of the state being rural, you'd be surprised that some of our laws are not as tough as other states when it comes to Second Amendment stuff. So
cool. Yeah, the MREs, I can't remember which one it was that I liked so much. There was one of them that was like a chicken and something. It was probably the best one, but they always come up missing. Like every time we'd get a box of them in, people would pick through them and pick out the good ones. So you'd wind up getting stuck with like the really crummy ones. What in the world you got going on over there? Yeah, Rusty, it gets a little challenging up that way sometimes. But yeah, Doug, the ballistics, some folks don't understand terminal ballistics when it comes to ammo. It's all about what it looks like, I guess.
All right, Dark Force is asking, they've got a K40 currently running water through a Coleman cooler. It doesn't get hot, but I'm worried about the winter months in my shed. What's a good antifreeze mixture to use in these machines?
Oh, you were digging it out.
This is the stuff you're looking for. This is not the stuff you're going to shove in the car radiator. This is the stuff you would put into an RV's water system that you want to keep things from growing in, but you might, end up using next year in the shower and other things. So it's an RV antifreeze, and I mix this about 50-50 with distilled water. So
yeah, you can drink that, can't you?
Yeah, technically.
Would you like to demonstrate that?
No, because I already had my colonoscopy and I don't want to go through that.
I was going to get you to demonstrate that it was safe to drink.
Yeah, it's got ethyl alcohol and propylene glycol in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's safe for you and others, but it doesn't have any other properties of normal antifreeze that can cause issues. But yeah, this is, you'll look for this stuff. I've mixed it about 50-50 and ran it through my my 60-watt CO2 and the chiller, as well as I had the first year. I had just a basically your pump and a bucket. So
yeah, I ran that in the Monport chiller that I had, or pump, or whatever you want to call it. And when I undid that thing to move it, it looked just like it did when I put it in there. So,
well, as long as you keep it as a, if you keep it closed, you keep the system closed and you don't have any contaminants in there, that's great. But if you get anything that contaminates that water, then you can get growth and some weird stuff in there. So,
yeah, Jim, Alabama is we're very very much 2A compliant here in Alabama. Like if you go into public, there's a really good chance that several people around you are practicing their rights. Oh, there we go.
Am I going one more time before winter?
Maybe he's talking about camping. I'm trying to figure it out.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm wondering where.
I'm not. It's probably somewhere in the comments, and I'm just not seeing it. And then somebody's wanting to know why I told it's pink. Yeah, Gray. I don't know how we got off on the topic, but that's like I said. That's a topic for another day. But anyway, I try not to get too heavy into that, but.
Well, we always say we kind of go where the audience leads us. So,
yeah. Well, and I will say this too. I am a live and let live kind of guy. Don't mess with me and have fun. Do whatever you want to do. But there are certain things that I believe strongly in. So, we'll just leave it like that. All right, Sharon. You have a good one, and we'll see you next week for sure. Oh, my goodness. That's one way of doing it. Mix it with your whiskey.
Yeah. Well, of course, we don't want to go down that path.
Yeah.
There we go. Greg clarified with it. Am I going camping one more time before winter?
I thought it meant camping.
Yeah. I'd like to. I mean, I so I just finished the our probably what is our typically our busiest week of the year is fall startup at the college. You know, all the kids come back, all the faculty come back, all the programs are starting up. Everybody's forgotten everything over the past 2 months. So it's a busy time for us, but then we kind of things get rolling and short of day-to-day questions, we're not in, we repair things as they break, but we're not doing any big projects as IT staff. So
Yeah.
the gotcha up here is, technically meteorological fall started today. It's supposed to go for 3 months, but it could be winter here in 4 weeks. So who knows? But yeah, I'm hoping to maybe get out a couple more times to maybe whether it's camping or even just a day trip to go and hike through a cool state park. We've got 60 some state parks up here in Minnesota, so there's a lot of places to explore. But you never know. We are going to be my wife and I are going to be making a trip up to the North Shore, Lake Superior, though, towards the end of the month.
Ew. Yeah.
So I'll at least get one trip in, but we're not camping per se. We'll visit some state parks, but
maybe you could spend enough. If you spend enough time outside, you could call it somewhat camping.
Well, now I did send Clack an invite to a seminar I thought he might enjoy. That's up here later this month.
The Sasquatch thing?
Hey, it was a Bigfoot convention, not a Sasquatch.
Well, I figured if I went to that, they'd want to know where you were at.
Yeah, apparently that's a thing. I forget where I'd probably have to go back in our chat thing, but that came up as a thing. I thought, and it's a legit. Oh, here it is. The Minnesota Bigfoot Conference, October 5th, Timberlake Lodge in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. So, if anybody's around and wants to go, look it up.
Yeah, up north, I've heard that Maine's very I had some friends of mine, actually some friends of mine over at Cog Hill Farm, went up to Maine recently on vacation, and they said it's very surprising that it was not what they had expected when they got up there, as far as it was a small town feel everywhere they went and that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. And Mark, I know some folks that live in some of the rural parts of California, and like you said, they are as country as it comes. Country is cornbread, and they live in California. But it's a lot of your heavily populated areas that things kind of go amiss from time to time. Just like there's places in Tennessee that I don't care to visit anymore because they've gotten things has gotten out of hand with crime and stuff like that. I mean, Atlanta is about as south as you can get. And I don't really like going through Atlanta. It's gotten to where, there are events and I do go over there. It's still in Georgia, but it's just not what I'm used to. I'm used to being out here in the country and, folks being pretty much, like me. And it's a different world. That's why I don't do a whole lot of traveling.
So they're all short or what?
Well, actually, I'm not really that short. When I go out in public, I'm typically one of the taller people.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not people aren't chasing me around with their Bigfoot stickers in the back windows of their car like some folks. But, 6 foot is above average technically.
Is it?
So I'm just saying. I think what's the average? Let me see what the average height for a male in U.S. Let's see what it is. 5'9". So yes, 6 foot is above the average. 6 5. Ain't that how tall you are? That's just absurd. I mean, that's just too big.
Okay. See the jealousy.
No, it's just not that. I mean, you know, I'm not sure what this meant. Don't ask me what you want to be called. Hey, you can call me whatever. Just don't call me late. If we eat, I don't get my feelings hurt real easy. Some people have actually accused me of not having feelings, but I do.
So I got myself a couple toys, and they'll probably make appearances in future videos. Um, one of them is
Yeah,
a new
a jukebox.
a new battery unit. This one is a little more affordable than the other one I have, so it has a little less power, but it does have 2 AC ports as well as your USB and your 12 volt. But the nice thing about this one is that it has on this side a little annoying flap. It's got your typical computer.
Yeah, what's that? What's that to the right there? That look like a.
That's an XC60 plug, and so that's for your car charging your solar. But the nice thing about the AC charging on this one is that they say it's up to 1,000 watts of charging, so you can recharge this thing in under 2 hours from the wall. Whereas my other one, it's limited to 200 watts, and that takes possibly 7 hours to recharge. So the faster charge on this one, so what I want to do is I want to test this with like the laser pecker and a few other of the portable type lasers to get a feeling for their runtime with it.
Yeah.
To see. And so the other thing I picked up was this little device, which is basically it's like a watt meter. It'll show the power consumption of whatever I plug into it. So a lot of people like to ask, what is this laser,
What can't you being all fancy? You getting all fancy and stuff. You're gonna be answering all the nerd questions.
It's the questions people ask, and there's always the curiosity about it. But there's a lot of people that wonder how much power their laser is taking, or how long it could run on one of these. So this is a good way to be able to really be able to tell whatever device it is and see what its actual power draw is. And I think you'd be surprised at how many of them are not drawing a whole lot of power. So.
Yeah, Dana's asking, where do I get one? Where do we get one? I don't know if you're talking about that thing that you were just holding up or what. We've been squirreling on topics for a little while, so I think she's referring to your big battery thing there.
Yeah, I can find the links for that shortly. My computer will behave.
Yeah, Ralph, anytime you got something that big plugged into your cigarette lighter or whatever, or power outlet in your car, you definitely don't want to let it sit there too long without the vehicle running, because you'll be pushing. You'll be using it to jump your car off. That'd be terrible. And Dina says yes. That's what she was asking about. So I'm getting pretty good at guessing this stuff. Chris says dyslexia is acting up in his fingers today. I have that problem too, Chris. My problem is that my fingers are fatter than these buttons on the keyboard. I think keyboards should come in different sizes depending on how big your fingers are. I think that you should have like small, medium, and large keyboard. Because sometimes my fingers cover up like a couple of the keys, it seems. And I can't type without looking at the buttons anyway.
You think this would be easier to find?
You would think, since you got a cricket again, by the way.
I know, I killed a few earlier today. It's that time of year. All right, here we go.
Remember last year you had one that stayed in there for like 6 weeks.
Shorten this one. All right, so this is direct to their website for that that power station. So it's a 999 watt hour, and they have it on sale right now for $399. So pretty decent price per the amount of power you have into it. Um, I was running the laser pecker just itself on it earlier, and it was running under. I want to. It was actually wasn't drinking that much power on it, and so it was like maybe 90 watts, 60 to 90 watts. So it was going to be running it for a good 9 hours. Now, of course, if you're at the show, you're probably going to need to plug in your laptop to it eventually. So that, depending on your laptop, can bring that down. But for just these portable lasers, running at 60 to 90 watts, it should power it through a good day session, unless you need to run too many other devices off it. So, and you can tap solar into it if you got that. But
That cricket's getting louder and louder.
it's the beauty of noise canceling. I can't hear it.
Oh, me.
Yeah, Mark, Blue Yeti's nice. They have some. I mean, you can get some of those that have nice, the Bluetooth app to it as well. I always just try to find the balance of dollar per watt hour, and sometimes you get to the Blue Yetis on sale, and you get a good deal, but you do pay a little bit more for Blue Yeti than some of these generics.
Gray's wanting you to show how the power drain meter works. Said it looks like a thermal detector.
Well, let's see here. Let's see if I can.
Does it have like an input and an output plug or on it, or?
Yeah, basically you plug that into the wall or an extension cord. You plug your device in, and then it'll give a readout.
Okay.
So,
well, that's simple enough. Look at you.
So, here it's lit up with nothing plugged into it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I plug the laser pecker into it.
Well,
I think it'll stay plugged in. I feel like Doc from Back to the Future, where you plug one thing in and the other thing comes unplugged. There's a geek reference for you.
Mm-hmm. Your nerds showing.
All right, so the laser pecker's turning on, and the mosquitoes are coming in too. But there you can see the watts right now just sitting at idle. It's actually only drawing about 17, 18 watts, and that's plugged in on AC power. So I don't have a job in it right now, but if I were able to power it on, you'd see that then jump up as it's consuming more energy. But it'll show you the overall at the bottom. You can type in a cost, and then it'll also show you how long it's been running. I don't know that. I think you can also put it into a overall consumption. So if you wanted to see how many watt hours, but kind of cool device to get some information on.
Yep, there it is. All right, North Alabama. So use some redneck engineering. Found some magnetic strips on Amazon that hold very well to the honeycomb and use them for a square and jig. Works well for 12 by 12. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah, I've been doing some pretty good bit of engineering today myself there. I had to finish what some laser companies started. Trying out a new machine, and I said it was good, but it lacked a little bit. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. Hang on, let me get it. Let me find the video. Okay, there it is.
The suspense is killing me.
Well, I had to find a spot on the video, man. Hang on. All right, so this is a fully enclosed laser, and that's standing beside it, looking into it. And so there was a problem with when I walked past it, I could like the light would hit me, like so that was a bit of a problem. And so lo and behold, my my 3D printer came in handy. I made me some little baffles to go in there to block that. And yeah, y'all get to see the video probably in the morning. But yeah, a little bit of engineering going into that right there, correcting an issue. I don't know why they didn't like put, I mean, it would have been easy enough, but anyway, they didn't. And I walked past it and I saw like a really bright blue for a second. I'm like, whoa, wow. And then I got to looking and I'm like, what in the world? And so I was like, okay, that's not good. Especially with it sitting on this table, because when you're looking down at it, especially with the like stainless steel or something like that, it's like just the perfect angle. And so I made me some little parts to fix it and got it working. So yeah, it's been a day of engineering for me too. And y'all saw all the engineering I did to that guy over there the other day. Steve would love this. Right here. Check out my lens cover, Steve. That's my lens. That's my custom lens cover for the Mopa.
Cool.
I thought you would like that with the whole aviation reference and all.
Well, I mean, but you could have like removed before, whatever. Play on it. Be creative, man.
Well, come up with something and let me know, and I'll redo it. How about that? Remove before lasing. Remove before making smoke. I mean, I just found that on Thingiverse. I was in a hurry, and I just said print. And then now the lens cover I actually had to make. I couldn't find one of them, so I had to make that.
Be like the warning sticker I have on my large CO2 laser. It says, "Do not look into laser with remaining eye."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they'd have those vent things on the side like that. It's just a weird spot to have those vents.
Yep. And I didn't think nothing of it until I walked past it. Like I said, and I didn't have my glasses on, and that blue flash caught my eye because I was running a test on the metal, and and it was and I was like, whoa, and I'm just like, okay. All right, I'm still good. And so I was like, oh, I got to fix that. So that's when I went to designing I put my glasses on and went to designing the little pieces I made to go on there.
Yeah. I had a similar situation setting up. One thing I don't like about the LP5 is these buttons on top they're kind of multifunction. And so if you press them the wrong way, you can rerun the last job. And so I was trying to get it into focus mode, and I must have double clicked it, and it like started a blue light job, and on that white tile it just reflected. It was just like that quick flash, just like ow. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be using an enclosed laser and have it be leaking out the sides like that. So
yeah. Now, just for whoever's asking, that I didn't do that. That was from the factory. That's some air vents that they put in there from the factory. And I was running a test job on it, and I started noticing that you could actually see the laser through there. And so after that is when that cricket is having him a field day over there. That is when I went into Fusion and designed my little standoff right here, so that I could mount them inside the machine to block that. So, and yes, somebody asked me, do I have the AMS? And yes, I do. Matter of fact, there's the machine that printed those things. That's them still on the printer bed. So there you are. But yeah, I have the AMS, and I am loving the bamboo. I haven't had to do anything to it since I got it, but run it. So I am loving that thing.
Yeah, I fired up the. I think I showed you the other day the NASA backlit light box kind of thing. That was kind of fun. So I want to play around with a few more of those using the multicolor setup. So it's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, and I've been working on this for work. I showed this to Steve earlier, but these are our little body cams that our guys use, and of course, this little thing right here is my version of a holder for this camera that has these little molly clips that will clip to the molly straps on the vest or whatever. And then I made this little guy that these cameras have the ability to connect to like a button. So I made this little piece right here that actually clips through molly straps. And once you clip that onto the vest, then you can take the camera and snap it onto that, and that holds the camera. And what the problem is these things come with clips. Typically, they have these little alligator clips on the back of them. But the way that the company built them and the plastic that they're made out of, it's like every week one of the guys is breaking one because they break constantly. So I was trying to come up with something that we could literally mass produce in-house, because those little clips are like $8 a piece for a little clip about that big, and the plastic around the hinge point is so thin that the slightest like seatbelt catches it or whatever, it breaks those clips. So I designed this to be a little more rugged, but if it does break, it's literally 3D printed. I printed this with PLA, but if we start having a problem with them breaking, I'll start using PETG. And if they catch on, who knows, I may go get me a X1 carbon so I start printing them in ABS. Because the company that makes this camera might actually want my accessories to go with Molly. Because they like these folks sell like a whole bunch of these cameras. So we'll see. But I have been engineering and 3D printing a bunch of stuff lately. Cool. Yeah, yeah, body cameras these days, the people that design them don't have to wear them, and so they don't get it. There's a few decent designs that are out there, but the company that makes this one really didn't have a whole lot of good mounting solutions, especially for like Molly. So, been playing around with a 3D printer. Since I have the bamboo, it's just so easy. So. Well, Jim, mine's in the house, and I keep my thermostat in the house set at 71, so it stays pretty dry in there. So, works pretty well. Gray, it is actually Digital Allies, the name of the company. They're like the second largest body cam company in the Southeast, at least. Probably in the country, but I know in the Southeast. I think Axon actually sells more than they do, but they sell a bunch of them. Can we use the P2 on bamboo? If you're talking about the X-Tool P2, yes, you can. The one thing I will tell you that I have found personally, and it may be different for other people, with the CO2 is it's hard to get dark contrasting engraves on bamboo with a CO2. It more or less just removes the material, but it doesn't change the color of it. And so it's kind of hard to get the nice brown contrasting engraves for me. Now, Steve may have mastered bamboo and a CO2, but I haven't.
No, I stay away from bamboo like the plague. But no, you're right on that, and it's actually true about a lot of woods. You get a more efficient burn, but it's less. You get less sintering. So one way to help with that is to defocus it a little bit, so your focus spot isn't quite so harsh. It'll add a little better of a sinter than a effective burn. So it you want to play around with it, and bamboo is bamboo. It'll be a little bit weird. You'll test it on one piece, and the next piece is a slightly different grain pattern for the grass. So,
Yep. Bamboo does take a little trickery to get it to work, but I'll show you how to do bamboo, Steve. I do enough of it. I've got it figured out now, but there's only a couple of machines that I'll use to do the bamboo to get the look that I like. Well, be good, Gray. Ooh. It won't be long. I'm going to have to go in there and go to sleep myself there. Yeah. Steve, there's this spray that I use here in my shop that, like, it'll kill bugs and it'll, like, keep killing them for a while. You might need to get some of that before cricket season gets in full swing.
The beautiful thing is I'm not hearing it.
All right, it's been an hour and 55 minutes, guys. We're getting ready to wrap it up here. 2 hours is, we try to make 2 hours our limit unless somebody comes up with an interesting topic. I'm going to go ahead and confess to you guys. I have this weird little thing that I've been doing lately. I bought me some new brushes for my glue because I was going through those little cheap brushes every time I do something with my glue. And I bought me one of those little silicone brushes. And I think it's just cool as crap when you get it out and you clean it off. So I have actually started collecting these little sponge looking things that come off of that silicone brush. But it's cool, look. Like you can just reach and grab it and pull it straight off of it. And the brush looks like it's brand new. Is that not awesome?
I mean, most people don't keep those.
But they're cool. Look. Like that one was even stuck to the table.
Okay.
Like that one got stuck to the table a little bit.
Yeah.
And then this one's a little shiny on the inside. I don't want to hear it. You got a pet cricket.
Hey, like I said, it was nice out. I left the doors open. I almost had a rabbit and a squirrel in here, so.
Oh, Doug said I need a hobby. I got like 10 hobbies. I actually don't need any more hobbies. I got enough. Between lasers and CNC, sawmills, fishing, hunting, animals. Oh my gosh, I got too many hobbies. Too many.
There's a tip for you on CO2s with bamboo.
Mm-hmm.
They change the angle to 45 degree. And that can change. That actually can change the speed, so that can help out a little bit. But it like I say, it's like anything. You gotta take some material and do some playing around. But grabbing some tips and tricks from other people to kind of get in the ballpark does help.
Yeah, I pretty much use the Algo laser or the MK2, the Rolly on bamboo, because for whatever reason, those two machines give me the prettiest brown engrave as I have ever got with any machine. So, and they don't, it doesn't make it sooty or anything. It just gives it like it almost looks like it's been painted or put on there with a marker. So, those are my two go-to machines for bamboo. Now, the longer the Atom Stacks, they do okay, but I like the results I get from the MK and the, which I think both of these machines use the same controller or similar controller.
Mm-hmm.
But why y'all knocking on folks in Alabama? Hey, that's cool, man. This is like abstract art. Like that's like abstract art right there. If I collect enough of this and glue it together, I could probably have it put in a museum somewhere.
Yeah, you trying to compare it to like the people who pour molten aluminum down anthills or wasp nests around things.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, not quite.
if you're thinking about getting into 3D printing, well, the question you need to ask yourself is, do you like working on 3D printers or printing with 3D printers? Because it's two different things. If you're just wanting to print, right now, currently, I'm going to say go with a Bamboo. If you're wanting to work on it, you can go with anything else. So, because I've been knocking, this is my little bracket that I made for the fiber to hold my exhaust line. And I can just knock this stuff out with no problem. And then I made those things that I'm holding the camera with there. Let's see, what else have I made today? I think I made this yesterday. But I made this because somebody said that my exhaust pipe looked rough. So I made this to slide over the end of my exhaust pipe. And then I put a pin down here so I could actually get it to hold in one of the holes on the laser, on the fiber. And so it looks like that instead of that rough edge.
Now, is it nicely rounded on the front edge so that it doesn't create extra vortices in the air that it's pulling in?
Oh, no.
See,
it's flat.
It's
flat. It's just flat.
Yeah, both of us have videos on the Bamboo A1. I kind of contrasted the A1 Mini with the A1 or with the AMS. So you want to check those out. But yeah, as far as a plug and play printer, I mean the Mini standalone starts at $199, and I think the A1 printer with the AMS is just under $500. So you can do multicolor prints with 4 different colors. I mean, it's a pretty good steal for the quality and the ease of them. So,
yeah, I even decided that while I was at it, I was going to make my little jig for my fiber laser, and I 3D printed it instead of laser cutting it. So, it just does such a good job. This is the actual top side, and then of course this is the textured side. But yeah, it just works. That's all I can say is it just works.
what's up?
But yeah, all I can say is I've printed more probably in the past 2 days successfully than I did the whole time I had my other one. As much as I liked the other one, I spent a little more too much time working on it.
Yeah. It's definitely nice to just be able to use them. So, anyway, we've rolled over 2 hours now, so.
Oh, by the way, did you see these? Oh. Fiber laser. Sweetness. Did these with the fiber. Because I got to thinking, I was like, a fiber won't do clear either. But man, they do awesome. You should really try some of these on the LP or the F1 Ultra with the fiber setting, because it's quick. It's like, pzzz, and it's done. Because you can run the speed. You can run the speeds way up there. So it's pretty cool. Oh! Alright, Brad said he just got the long mail. Actually, Doug, the orange was actually a little cheaper, I think, than the the black was. So I've actually got 2 or 3 rolls of it still in the house. I stocked up. But Brad said he just got the long mill assembled and ready to start using it. Did you get the newest one, or what they call that new one, the alt mill or whatever? The one that they put the crazy spindle on, like a 4,000 watt spindle or whatever on it.
I don't think that one's out yet, is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't kept up. But anyway, guys, I guess we're gonna call it there. It's getting quiet, and that cricket is really driving me nuts. I keep wanting to look around and find him in here somewhere. He's not in here.
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Let's see. Here's some of my prototypes too from the bamboo. Look at that. Look how smooth that is. That is awesome. And then here's another one. These were victims of poor measurements. I mean, it worked, but it's literally like 3 millimeters too narrow. So I kept them just because. I think I'm gonna keep my little glue, my pieces of glue in them.
On that note,
oh, he can't handle it. He can't handle it. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Hopefully, things will go a little bit better next week as far as the notifications and stuff. Because, like I said, we've been playing around with the software, trying to work out some bugs. So that may, yeah, it's BAMBU, Bamboo Labs. If you go to my channel and click on one of my recent shorts that's got 3D printing in it, there's some links there. If you plan on buying one, we would appreciate it. Me or Steve, either one. You can grab one of those links and order until your heart is content. That way they know we sent you, and they'll send us some cool stuff to play with, maybe. But he said it's the MK2 30 by 30. Figured you'd try this one first. Oh, you'll probably, I mean, a 30 by 30 will last, like, it'll do 90% of what you're going to do. Probably 99% of what you're going to do. But there'll be that one day that somebody's going to want something 36 by 36, and you'll be like, and that's when you'll pull the trigger. Because that's what happened to me. But anyways, glad y'all stopped by and saw us, and that's it. Steve, you want to sign us out? You and your buddy Jiminy Cricket over there?
I don't believe he's in here. I think you're making it up. Yeah, no, it's good seeing y'all, and we will hopefully be back at it this week. I'm hoping work is calmer and gives me more energy to finish up some things here. So stay tuned for regular videos. Otherwise, we'll be back next Sunday here again with who knows what conversation you guys will bring for us. So always fun, always an adventure. Glad to see you here, and we'll catch you next week.
Yes, sir.